Hello and welcome everyone to our 45th session of Hello Casa. My name is Michael and today I'll be talking to Juan Ignacio Pignataro from San Jose, Costa Rica. Juan is real estate broker and especially focused on commercial real estate. Super exciting in Costa Rica. He will tell us exactly why. Juan, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for being on the show. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, Michael. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Pignataro. As Michael mentioned, I'm a real estate agent here in Costa Rica, affiliated to the local real estate chamber, and also affiliated to the National Association of Realtors in the United States. We have over 15 years of experience in real estate. Prior to opening my own office, I worked as sales director for some of the major real estate developers down here in Costa Rica, both in the residential part and in the commercial sector. Mm-hmm. And as of 6 years ago, I saw an opportunity to open my office. It's more of a boutique real estate practice. And the reason we did it that way is because we think we can add more value within that concept instead of doing a massive agency. Mm-hmm. And that's been our focus over the last 6 years with great success, I would say. Mm-hmm. And we want to continue to grow that way in terms of doing more business, not necessarily in terms of growing the size of the operation. Mm-hmm. And we're very excited to be on the show.
Awesome. You are focusing mainly on the commercial part of real estate. Tell us a little bit about the motivation. Why did you do it, and what's the upside of it?
Okay. What actually motivated me is that I believe it's more, it's less emotional than the residential part of the business. So it's really more business. It's a business decision when you're dealing with a client. Does it make sense or does it not make sense? Mm-hmm. Can I do it or can't I do it? And also, Costa Rica has been well known over the past years for companies from outside coming in. We now have more than 20 of the Fortune 500 companies in the country, mm-hmm. doing some of their businesses towards the United States and other countries, operating from Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. We are strategically located in a place where the logistics makes a lot of sense. We're located, for those of you that don't know where Costa Rica is, we're in Central America, right between Nicaragua to the north, Panama to the south, and we have both oceans on the east and west part of the country. Mm-hmm. So we're just over 50,000 square kilometers, so we're a fairly small country, and that makes it a strategic location for a lot of companies to settle within the Americas and from there operate to other countries. So we saw an opportunity. We saw that also that in the local real estate industry, I would say that 90 to 95% of agents are focused in residential real estate. Mm-hmm. So there was a small niche there that we could take advantage of. Mm-hmm. Outside of, I would say, like, we have the main big players here. Yeah. And we think that the local companies could be supported, adding value, being able to assist them within the whole real estate process. So we think that there was an opportunity there, and we took advantage, and it's been good so far.
Which geographic are you operating mainly? Is it San Jose, or is it also towards that free trade zone, which is mainly, because I'm super ignorant, I have to admit, where exactly is the free trade zone located?
Free trade zones can be located almost anywhere in the country.
Okay.
Because it's a special regime that the government gives to some companies, mainly tax incentives and benefits. So it can be located pretty much anywhere. What's happened over the past years, it's some areas have developed specific clusters. For example, Coyol, which is an area in Alajuela, mm-hmm. I would say just north of San Jose. There's a huge medical device cluster there. So I'd say probably over 50 of the main medical device companies in the world have some sort of presence in Costa Rica, and a lot of them are in Coyol. Mm-hmm. Now we also have Cartago, which is to the south of San Jose, mm-hmm. which is starting to develop also a medical device cluster. Mm-hmm. And that has to do a lot with the fact that most of the labor force resides in Cartago. Mm-hmm. So currently, they're traveling, their commuting is about 2 hours. So companies are moving to Cartago so people don't have to commute, and that's also become a very hot area. And then we have San Jose, where I would say most of the service companies under the free trade zone regime are located, mainly in Escazú, Santana, and now some are going to the east side, which then again has to do a lot with the workforce, as most of the universities are located in that area. So companies like Amazon, we have Procter & Gamble in San Jose, we have Hewlett-Packard, we have Western Union. They have a lot of shared services located in San Jose, and they work mainly from Escazú, Curridabat, and I would say within the San Jose area.
So that means, just to get it right, I know that from UAE, Jebel Ali, they have, for example, also a free trade zone, which is a designated zone where you don't pay any taxes. Is that also just the government says more or less like within, if you settle or if you open your company within this area, this is like a designated zone where you don't pay any taxes? Or how does that work? Like, what do I have to do as a company in order to be eligible to be within the free trade zone?
Well, there have to be there's certain criteria in terms of investments that you have to do, and yes, there are certain areas which are allocated for the free trade zone. Some of the companies that can apply are export services companies, in which case 50% of the services must be exported. They cannot be sold locally. Scientific research firms, suppliers of sales to free trade zone companies can also apply to the regime. And then you have some incentives, which some would apply for a longer period, others are for the whole period. Just to name a few, you have 100% tax exemption for all sectors in terms of interest income, sales tax on local purchases of goods and service, stamp duty, withholding tax on royalties and fees. And then you have a 10-year period for example, for property transfer taxes.
Got it.
So there's not, I would say there's not a specific location. But some places you have to comply with certain criteria in order to apply for the free trade zone.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that's happening now, is that government, in order to make some incentives for areas outside of San Jose where there's less employment, are now providing additional benefits for companies that install themselves in what they call the free trade zone regimes outside of the greater metropolitan area. So there's some additional incentives there in order to create jobs.
In order to create jobs, especially in the rural areas, so that the rural... Okay, perfect. You just mentioned the pharmaceutical area. I think I was actually super impressed when before our interview, when I did some research concerning the export and GDP export and the split of it. I was like, I was super impressed by the pharma share of it. What's the origin of it? Like, why is Costa Rica so strong in the pharmaceutical sector?
I'd say not only in the pharmaceutical, well, it's not really pharmaceutical, it's the medical device companies. So it has to do a lot with specific companies that, for example, that produce specific pieces for let's say for an instrument that has to be installed in the heart. So some of that work is done here locally. And now I'd say one of the biggest success stories here is a 100% Costa Rican company called Establishment Labs that they do breast implants, and they created like some sort of technology within the implant that has been a great success around the world. And they now actually they're actually on the New York Stock Exchange. They trade in the New York Stock Exchange. So I think it has to do a lot with with education. Costa Rica is education here is free and mandatory. So over the years, as you know, Costa Rica has, or maybe you don't know, but Costa Rica hasn't had an army since 1949.
Yeah, I read that.
So all of the resources which would have been allocated towards military forces have been allocated towards education. So you have a highly educated population. You have a country which is, I wouldn't say bilingual, but with great English levels. So that makes it very attractive also for international companies. We have a company that has anticipated also towards future jobs or future needs. So institutions like INA, which is a government-owned institution, like more towards technical education, has prepared people for jobs such as companies related to the medical devices. Then we have the Instituto Tecnológico de Costa Rica, which is a great university which forms great engineers. They've also created a medical device career. So I think it has to do a lot with that. The government has done the necessary things towards preparing the population for those jobs. And as you know, some countries just find are a good place to install certain clusters or certain areas. And Costa Rica started a lot of years ago, and as happens in a lot of places, there was one success story, and then companies started coming along, and I think they've been doing very well down here.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, Costa Rican, like the perception about Costa Rica internationally is like only positive, and I think it's the best example of apparently like a forward-looking government, which even looks further behind the next legislature period, because basically most of the politicians are only like incentivized by the 4-year period or what have you, and then there's no room for education, where you have like a return on maybe 25 years. If you talk about the taxes you might get back as a country. And I think it's a phenomenon that the country has achieved, to have like a very stable government over the period, reinvesting into security. Even renewables right now is huge success.
Yeah, we want 100% renewable energy.
Are you already? Because I think, did you have the 2021 goal to be 1% renewable? You already achieved that? You overachieved it?
We've run for a few months, yes, on 100% renewable energy. I don't know if that's sustainable up to that period, but at least it's been working over the past few months, and we're very proud of that.
Awesome.
And I think we're an example to the world in terms of sustainability. So that's also been very attractive. As you know, a lot of companies now are focusing on that. So Costa Rica has been an example, and I think that has also been very attractive for companies towards establishing themselves in Costa Rica. And Going back to what you mentioned about the government, political stability has been critical also. It doesn't matter. We used to have a bipartidanism. So we had like two main parties which governed on and off. One for a 4-year period it was one, and then it was the other. Until this past election, where a new party came in. But as you mentioned, it doesn't really matter which one is governing. Rules are very clear. It's very stable, with its on and offs like every country in the world. But I would say it's a fairly stable environment, and that has really added value to the companies coming to Costa Rica.
Perfect. Let's go back a little bit to your business. I'm super curious about your commercial real estate business. Walk us through, maybe first of all, your potential clients. So who are you targeting? What are your potential clients? I guess obviously mainly companies. How does it work if I, for example, have my e-commerce store and I say, okay, it's not enough anymore to, I don't know, like drop ship it with someone, or I want to have my own bodega, I want to have my own room. I need something strategically stable and viable. What's the process then?
Okay, first of all, I would say our business divides in two areas. We have one, which you just mentioned, which is Bodegas in Costa Rica. It's a division focused 100% on warehouses. There, our clients are mainly logistics companies, industrial companies, and I would say the bodegas, or the warehouses, have shifted from a very strict area to a very flexible space. So we also have here what are called OFI bodegas, or office warehouses. So also that had pretty much made our clientele database a little bigger, which are companies that are offices which see in a bodega or in a warehouse a better price to rent versus a traditional office space, and they convert it into this phenomenal area or a phenomenal office space where they can operate from at a better rate than a traditional corporate facility or corporate building.
So that means like a warehouse, which was supposed to be a warehouse, they just rent it and then they convert it into an office space. Okay.
Yes, but also they're born when they're developed. When the developer creates the park, they're born or they're created as an office warehouse.
Okay.
It's not really a conversion from a total warehouse, but it already has some specifics that could work one way or the other, either as a warehouse or as an office and a warehouse.
Okay.
We see a lot of that. We have a lot of local companies, which are our clients, a lot of distribution centers. As you mentioned, now logistics is critical. So there's last mile distribution. Companies need to be closer to their clients. They cannot no longer rely on just a single location, but they need to have several locations in order to operate and respond quickly to their clients' needs. And then we also have multinational companies which are coming to the country, which need to install themselves. What we try to do over the last years is, as I mentioned, we have a boutique concept, but we have a very aggressive and good network of people who we work with. So we try to operate under strategic alliances, and that helps us, that allows us to offer kind of like a 360 solution. So we have corporate attorneys, we have a consulting firm in terms of architecture and engineering, which we work with. We're very close to CINDE, which is the Costa Rican investment agency. So with that network, we also not only look for opportunities, but I say we're very proactive in creating opportunities and doing the proper matchmaking. So when we have a warehouse, when we have a client, we're very focused in terms of not making that person or that client waste time, but looking at who are the real potential business partners or eventual clients that could benefit from either from that client or from that location.
Okay, interesting.
That in terms of bodegas.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And we also, in the other part, which is mere commercial, we also do a lot of office business. We do some consulting business. And a bit of retail, but retail has changed so much over the past few years that I'd say we're in the process of analyzing opportunities in order to make retail attractive again. And what we've seen is real estate as a service more than as just an asset or a building or whatever.
You just mentioned the real estate as an asset, as a service. Can you dig a little bit deeper on that one? That's super interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think real estate over the past few years has just been seen as a location where you go, you rent, and you install your company or your business or whatever, and that's it. That's your relation with the owner, or that's your relation with the building. That's it. Over the past few years, companies, and I think that's been generated a lot by the economic transitions in the world. There's businesses want to moderate the risk a little more, so they don't want to really create so much long-term relationships or contracts or long-term contracts, but short-term contracts where they can benefit from a lot of services, which include a full solution. Let's use an example, an easier example for everyone. For example, WeWork. WeWork is more or less real estate as a service. You go, you rent space as you need, they give it to you, turnkey ready. Absolutely. You also have a lot of added value in terms of the services that are around the area. So you're pretty much renting a full service operation and not just a great building where you have to make a 10, 15, 20-year lease. If your operation reduces, you give back part of that space. If your operation grows, you lease a bit more space. So the risk is manageable for the business, which wasn't some years ago, and that's also happening in residential with co-living. Where people just go, they rent, they have a common kitchen, they have a lot of common services.
Absolutely.
Newer generations, I think, are a little more practical than we were.
Yeah, it's like living on demand or working on demand, and then you get directly a lifestyle, and you also obviously can easy attract high potential employees, because they are maybe they would like to work in an office which looks like Google, and then you can easily offer that, and you don't have the brain drain, and you don't have the challenge to just attract the right people.
Exactly, and that's also becoming a challenge for developers, for building owners. I recently participated at the MIPIM proptech event in New York, which was last November. And there was one of the keynote speakers, which is a huge landowner, or they have a lot of square meters that they own in New York, in Manhattan. And he was talking about how difficult this has made it for them, since they'd had companies that were probably occupying, I don't know, let's say 20, 30,000 square feet. And now, because they have people working from home, or they have the flexibility to work from anywhere they want to, they now move to maybe 2,000 or 3,000 square feet. What do they do with that space? They have to convert it into something that's more practical, that's more a service, where people can go in and out. And I was actually reading an article some time ago that said, will there be anyone left to go to the office? And it makes sense. What would the reason be for someone to go to the office in the future if they can work from a coffee shop, or if they can work from a co-working space, or if they can work from home? So that's really changing the way real estate.
I totally agree. I actually today just read a study on LinkedIn where it was like 75% of US American tech workers prefer to work remotely, would even switch their job, like even resign if they could work remotely from at a different employer. And obviously, then we even have to see like the effects on the entire society, prices, real estate prices, and also, as you said before, like the lifestyle, how people want to live, and and then we see what might be happening.
I think it's how people want to live, how people want to work, and how people want to play. I think it's everything's going to change, and they might even have to merge. I also think that we're going to move into a world of freelancers.
Absolutely.
I don't know if companies are going to have full-time employees, or you're just going to have a huge freelance community where they will hire you based on your specific needs or services that a person needs at that time. So that's also going to change the way we interact with real estate.
Absolutely, because of the external communication costs which you have. You just go on a real estate platform. You need someone, you're on demand. Okay, you're going to hire him, or he or she will then take the job, whoever wants it, and there you go. While obviously, I think like there's this cost theory, which more or less like says like what's the best or the highest, the best size of a company. So what's more or less like economically the most reasonable, and there's a certain size of employees, and I think this size of employees definitely gets reduced with the lower transaction costs which you find in the market via freelancer.com or Upwork or whatever you have.
Exactly, and then also the way the technology is coming into play. A great. It's becoming critical in everything, even in real estate.
Absolutely,
with all the technology coming in, the way we run businesses, and also. And just to maybe continue with what we're doing with our business, we're trying to get involved also in the proptech business. We believe there's great opportunity. One of the most threatened maybe activities in the world is actually real estate brokerage. You're never going to be able to remove the human factor, because I think we add value through our relationship, through our knowledge, through the way we work with our clients. But there's a huge part of the process which is probably going to be very tech-oriented, because and it has to do with two things. One, it's going to probably reduce the transaction costs, and two, it's going to improve the timing that it takes from when you see a property to when you need to make a decision. You can probably do almost everything from the comfort of your home or the comfort of your office. And then you just go and look at the property, but you know pretty much everything. So I think that's also going to change. We're working on an application, and we've been working for a while. I'll use the term, kind of trying to Uberize the real estate industry. So we've been working over the past maybe year or so in developing a solution that can be also used around the globe, not only in Costa Rica.
You want to give more insights, or is it really still like kind of a secret where about
I don't know if it's a secret. We just think that there's an opportunity to anticipate that moment when like I said, one of the challenges we see nowadays, and I think every industry sees it, and we were talking about it in logistics with the last mile distribution, is clients' expectations are higher every day.
Yeah.
and they want better solutions and quicker solutions.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point where you as an agent or as an office cannot really meet that timing unless you support yourself with technology. And that's where we see an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We think that we can improve the process from when you come in into contact with an office. For example, I'll use a simple example. Someone contacts an agent, that agent is showing a property, he can't answer right away.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a statistic that shows that clients make a decision based on response time, not necessarily based on a specific agent that they want to work with.
Yeah.
If they have if they don't have any type of relationship, timing or response is going to be critical. So that agent could have lost the business not because of that he didn't want it. It was just that he was doing something else and couldn't respond at the time. So tools like chatbots, other algorithms that we can create within that process can help us get in contact with the client, respond as if it was actually the agent that was there, guide the client through technology towards the specific product that he wants. I'll use an example in residential. Say Michael wants to buy a property that is 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. He has a budget of $200,000 and he wants it in San Jose. Based on what you tell me through the conversational tool that we'll have, I can guide you to the specific homes that make sense for you. So you don't have to go around over 10, 15, 20 homes, but I'll take you to those specific homes. We have a list of agents that are associated to our platform that have the knowledge, the capability, the customer service, and everything you need, that once you want to make an appointment, first of all, it's the appointment when you want, not when I can.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's fairly normal around the world. That's not really something new. But then I can also qualify you for your credit approval online. And once you go to the property, you're all set. I mean, if you want to buy it, you can pretty much make a decision there. So your time, I appreciate your time. You appreciate my time. I don't make you waste any time or go around to properties that don't make sense. So we think, and that also helps developers in a way that they don't have to have a full-time sales force.
Absolutely.
Which costs them money every single month.
Yeah. No, makes total sense.
They have it because I don't think they trust the real estate brokerage community to provide the service they need for their clients. I think that's the reason why developers have a real estate team, full sales team, 100% on payroll.
Yeah, makes total sense. Have you thought about tokenization and crypto with real estate? Do you have an opinion about that?
No, I don't really have an opinion. It's not fairly common down here. I think we have to give it some time. You have so many cons and so many pros that I don't know which one is right. So I think we have to give it some time. It's probably the future, I think, but I can't really give you my opinion right now.
Did I get it correctly before when you said like retail as a service? Did you also mean like stores and retail shops, or is it what you said before? Just to make sure I got that correctly.
No, I think that's more for the office.
Okay, got it.
Maybe residential. In terms of retail, what I see is that the traditional retail concept they're going to have a hard time existing. And like I said, it has to do not only with it has to do a lot with the way new generations interact. E-commerce. Also, they want to buy based on experiences. So I think that single-use retail stores will no longer make sense. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. And I'll use a brand even though I know they're not advertising anything. For example, I'll just use it as an example. Let's say Nike, just to give you a name. If you have a traditional Nike store, which you just go in, or a traditional sports store, let's not put a name to it. You go into a traditional sports clothing store. If you just have clothing hanging from everywhere, I don't know if people will want to go there anymore. But maybe if you provide a second use to that retail shop where you can have, I don't know, a gym or a sports arena where people can play, that'll probably attract more. So I think that there has to be like a second use. And a great example for that is the Cadillac dealer I think it's in Fifth Avenue in New York. It's a car dealer. It's an event room. They do fashion shows there. It has a bar. It has a coffee shop. It has a lot of things, and it's really a Cadillac dealer. But people are not going to go there anymore for the car.
Yeah,
They're going to go there, and they're going to remember the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's going to happen. We see it in malls here, and I think across the globe, where there's more empty space and empty space and empty space, and I don't really see that changing in the next years in terms of more stores coming in. I think there's more stores coming out. You see great big companies in the US pretty much closing all the stores and moving to e-commerce. So
I mean,
I think that's the only way retail will survive.
No, I totally appreciate your point of view. I mean, I'm talking to so many real estate agents and experts, and everyone has a different point on that. Like, once I talk to someone who has like in the US talking about like commercial real estate, they're saying, yeah, like commercial real estate has the highest ROI, and we also see like an influx right now still in shopping malls. Even unlike what you're saying, because I totally agree with your point of view, is the tendency of the buying behavior, which we see across the globe, is like going more and more e-commerce and just shopping online. However, then on the other hand, it's like I also talk to people who say, no, I just want to touch, I want to go to the store, I want to have the experience. But then on the other hand, like, where is the transaction happening? Is the retail store itself actually still profitable? Or do still companies need it in order to have kind of a showroom, so that even though the transaction might be happening online later, you still need it in order to have the transaction being triggered by the client in the first place? So I am like, I really don't know. And then also the other question is like, okay, once we have like stores closed in the center, that might even like maybe even decrease the rental space, like the price for the rental space, which then might even allow other companies to come in, maybe even then second or third tier, which are, which we don't, well, which we don't have, which we haven't had in the past, because those are not Nike brands anymore. This is like maybe something else, where with a different work purchase, with clients with a different purchasing power.
Probably, yeah. That's probably going to happen also. But then again, they won't. I don't think they'll be able to come under the traditional model, or they'll stop existing. They'll have to come with a new proposal.
Got it.
Like I said, then with the experience behind it, I think that's what people identify themselves with nowadays.
Got it. Concerning your, let's say, your area and your geo of operation. If I am now, let's say, you said your main client base for the logistics for the warehouses are logistic partners. So I think we're talking big game here. We're talking like big business. So where can, for example, me as a small Amazon, or as a small third, I think you call them third-party logistic providers. I come to you and say I need a warehouse for XYZ square feet, and then you help me acquiring or getting this. You're screening the market, or you already have the certain portfolio, and then you say, okay, we have XYZ. What do you need? Access to road, access to Pacific, access to the Atlantic. How does that work? Like, walk me through that a little bit.
There's both. First, we try to understand the client first, what their specific needs are in terms of location, in terms of size, in terms of budget. We try to understand their operations. So maybe also the clients want something, and we feel that it could be something better.
Yeah.
So we also suggest. We use market intelligence software. So I'd say for the greater metropolitan area, we have pretty much the whole inventory covered. And we also, like I said before, work with strategic partners. So if for some reason we cannot solve by ourselves the client's needs, we work very fast through one of our partners to solve their specific business need. So we use market intelligence software. Then again, going back, we use technology.
Yeah.
We understand and listen to the client's needs, which I think it's vital and critical in any business. And then we act very quick based on that to provide the best solution.
Got it. Do you sometimes also use or work with lots, and then you build warehouses, or they want to build it, or is it rather even lease and then they say we need to enter the new market and we just need something within the next month. How is that? What's the trend there?
Okay, there's both. There's both. We have clients that come with specific land that they want to develop, but they don't have the resources. So what we do is we build the team in order to develop a product that makes sense in that land. Of course, if it makes sense for everyone. And then we also have we also work with clients and I'll put it this way: there are clients that need to solve a situation very quick. There are clients that are looking for solutions within 6 months. They know their business is going to grow. So maybe what they want is to buy land, build a warehouse, and then a scenario after that could be that they know that their business is not real estate oriented, so they want to resell that warehouse.
Got it.
So we also work with some real estate investment trusts here in Costa Rica that love industrial product. So we sell them the warehouse or the logistics park or whatever it is, and then they continue. The business owner continues with business as usual, but they don't want to allocate a lot of resources in real estate. They want to use that money for their inventory or their production or whatever. So they resell to an investment trust.
Got it. Topic: global economy, because I think if I get it correctly, obviously you're kind of exposed then to the global economy and also the trade across the globe. What's your stake right now? Where do you see? I mean, we're all talking like about the recession, which is supposedly to be coming. I think like since 2018 we've been talking about it. Hasn't arrived yet. What's your perspective on that topic?
Okay. In our case, we're still our main business partner is the U.S. That's probably that's our main partner. But over the past few years, as I mentioned, CINDE, which is the investment agency here in Costa Rica, we've started to generate a lot of business from Europe, from China also. We have free trade agreements with both China and the U.S. I would say like
that's
main players in the world. Which is great. Specifically in situations like the one we were seeing, where there's this kind of commercial dispute going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So having free trade agreements with both made a lot of sense, because if a country that couldn't export, from China, they could come to Costa Rica and export from Costa Rica to the U.S. It just would say made in China. It would say made in Costa Rica. So that was an opportunity there. I think the whole world is kind of undergoing an economic situation. We were recently at an event that was organized by the World Bank here in Costa Rica, and we saw the economies in Latin America not performing very well. Some had to do with political issues, or other had to do with social issues, other had to do with tax reforms that were going on. So I think this has been the way it's worked for decades. It's cycles, So we just have to be prepared for the different stages of the cycle. There's opportunities in both. Currently, Costa Rica, probably to bring it down here, Costa Rica had a big tax reform last year. So that, as it happens everywhere in the world, generated a bit of a slowdown in the economy while people get used to the different things, the new different taxes. Real estate, especially residential real estate, slowed down a bit. The coasts are very hot. Industrial continues to be a very hot asset category, and offices, especially A plus and A class office space, is still very hot, mainly because of foreign direct investment coming into the country.
Those are the top ones. Those are the top ones.
I would say those are the top ones.
But also, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, just for the classification, because you were mentioning A and A plus, just for the audience, to make like you're talking about the stratus, or what is it?
When we talk about A plus or A, it's office buildings that comply with certain criteria in terms of. I'll give a few. The relation of parking spaces versus square meters leased, the location of the property, the services that are provided within the building or in the immediate area. If it has a LEED certification, for sustainability purposes.
Got it.
And so forth. Maybe
Got
a few
it.
others that just to get, but
Yeah.
those are the ones. And companies want to be in better buildings.
Yeah.
We were talking before about the flexibility. Now you don't attract employees just based on their monthly pay.
No.
People are looking for more things. So services at a business facility, location, etc. Those are the things that companies. So some have to move from one place to the other in order to be attractive for employees and bring better talent.
Perfect. Okay, got it. For our audience, do you have any final thoughts which you would like to share? Maybe also to other real estate brokers, to potential investors. It's right now your stage. You can really give some your 2 cents on to the audience. What you would like to take them from that interview.
Well, maybe regarding Costa Rica, it's a great country for investment purposes. Like I mentioned at the beginning, there's great political stability. We are a very visitor friendly country, so we make people feel welcome. We have been a success story in terms of sustainability, in terms of education, in terms of tourism, ecotourism. So I think that makes it a great option for people looking to invest abroad. For brokerage colleagues or people related to the business, it's now real estate has shifted also from an individual to a more team player business. So we have to work a lot with our colleagues. We have to create empathy. We have to professionalize the industry, especially here in Costa Rica. And that's something important that I didn't mention. When people are coming from another country and you want to work with a real estate agent, I would say my first advice would be to refer to the Costa Rican Association of Realtors.
Okay.
Because those are certified real estate agents. Here in Costa Rica, real estate does not go through an educational process like it goes in the US, where you have to have a specific license to work in a specific city or a specific state. Here, pretty much anyone can be a real estate agent. So you actually want to work with people that are accredited to the local chamber. I also recommend a lot of times that don't just focus on the visible part of the property, but also consider the intangibles. And by that, I mean the experience of the developer, the warranties that are provided on the specific property, the people you're working with. That in the long run adds a lot of value towards the decision you're making and towards protecting your investment. So those are probably things that I think I want to tell people to consider every time they get involved in a real estate transaction. For agents, I think specialization is very important. You want to specialize whether in an asset category, in a specific location. Try to create value to a unique value proposition, not just be one more. Especially in an activity where loyalty is not necessarily a day-to-day. People work when you go to a country. You just call the first one. So try to add value, take care of your clients. That's also very important. Don't just take things for granted, but try to guide them through the process. Be very honest. This is not a 100-meter run. This is a marathon. And by that, I mean, we have our business is based on reputation. A lot of people want to make a quick buck and they forget about a lot of things. This is the way we see it. This is a marathon. It's reputation. We really, one of our core values is honesty, transparency, work ethics. So I think every agent should have that, and consider that if you do that over the years, you're going to build a great business reputation. You're going to be successful, and clients will continue to be coming back to look for you.
I mean, everything you said is incredible, and I think it's exactly like how everyone wants to work and also wants to interact. I mean, I have to be honest, from the very beginning, having listened to you, I directly saw that you're you're a sophisticated person. You are highly educated, and it's a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. You entire focus also, being at the exposition on the at the fair in New York, going right now into proptech. Like, I think it's you having you as a local expert in Costa Rica is super valuable, and I definitely recommend everyone to reach out to you once you're considering to do business in Costa Rica. Juan, it's been a pleasure. I think we could have talked for 2 more hours because we
That's correct.
jumped from one topic to the other very very fast. However, I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your time for today.
I I really appreciate you taking us into account, and we look forward to many more conversations in the future.
Absolutely. Juan, thank you so much. Have a nice day. I'm going to sleep now, and we talk soon.
You have a good night. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Bye.